Oh, hi everybody. A long time no speak. Lots has happened. Wow, lots has happened. So I think the last time I did a sort of vlog update like this was almost a year ago, 10 months or so, from Ireland. I've been quite quiet since radio science, except for Owen Lucas English. I'm building up a little online English teaching business very slowly. I'm nowhere near the tax threshold for 12 months. Once I get it registered, which, for the record, I will do because I'm currently on probation. Yeah, so I left Ireland October 23 last year and came back to Wales. Interestingly, I didn't come the normal route, which would have come to my hometown of Fishguard on the ferry. I was in Rosslare Harbour in Ireland, and there was two options: either sleep the night rough at Rosslare Harbour or get a B&B, but a bit expensive, or catch the evening ferry to the other port in West Wales, Pembrokeshire, Pembroke Dock. So I did that. So I arrived in Pembroke Dock, and I was thinking to myself as I was crossing, when I left for Ireland, summer of 22, there was quite a lot of, how should we call it, police attention my way, that I decided to release the valve and get to Ireland to avoid. So I was thinking, okay, so I could be in a situation where they're not happy with me going to Ireland, and I could get picked up, collected at the harbour on arrival in the British state under the Crown jurisdiction. But nothing happened. I made my way, expensive taxi, back to Fishguard that evening, late at night, and for a month or so, absolutely no problems. But one of my commitments I'd made when on leaving Ireland was to go back to Ireland for November to look after a farm, while a couple I'd stayed with in July 22, lovely couple from County Cavan, not far from the Northern Ireland border, were going to visit relatives in Italy, which was a big deal because Isabella, of the two, she had an awful car accident in 2018 and lost a leg. And so there's all sorts of connotations of getting in and out of cars, you know, with prosthetic limbs, this kind of stuff, that had to be in place before she could do a big trip back home to Italy. So, you know, I was very keen to help them out with that, and I'd had such a lovely time. They'd been so kind to me the year before that I was heading back via my ferry port in Fishguard over to Rosslare, and then train and bus, whatever, up to County Cavan. So I was waiting on the platform, the ferry port, and I was thinking to myself, why haven't they let us on yet? You know, there's a lot of spending money options that they're missing out on. Lunch and drinks and who knows what. And they haven't let us on. And I was beginning to think this isn't quite normal. And then, lo and behold, a couple of coppers, a couple of police officers turned up, and they asked me if I was Owen Lucas, and I said I was, and they did the usual frisk and took off me my passport and my phone and, you know, my bag and everything, and threw me in the back of the wagon with handcuffs on, and they locked me in a cell without any windows or a toilet, just a box for 24 hours, maybe not quite. And then they put me in front of a judge, and then some duty solicitor guy told me that I should plead guilty because I'd be therefore out that afternoon with a fine. No evidence presented against me, you know, before I left for Ireland or since I got back from Ireland. And I pleaded guilty as the duty solicitor advised, so that I could get out that afternoon as promised. Oh no, the duty solicitor has got it wrong apparently, and you're going to prison until your trial on remand or something. And so I got locked up in a toilet cubicle in Swansea again, for basically the same crime as they did the last time, for writing about this court case in North Wales that I questioned. Freedom of speech, you're allowed to question verdicts in Britain, aren't you? Apparently not. So I spent a month in prison in November to December, and they let me out for Christmas. Nice of them. The end of last year, 2023. And then since then I've been on probation, and that's been fine. Nice guy. We have a chat about movies and his music and all this kind of stuff, no problems. It started off once a week, then it was once a fortnight, and then it was once a month, and it's basically dropping off. So that's all good. And one interesting thing was that when I was in front of the court case in November, my website became a topic which had nothing to do with the Facebook comment which had incriminated me in 2021 that was repeated again in 2022, but they were talking about my website, and I had a memory loss, if you like, that I thought the website had been deleted. This is Owen Lucas, this is commonlawnews.com, which has no relevance at all to the charges I was facing. So what were the charges? The charges were breaking a non-disclosure order, and so I was constantly asking from March 22, can I see where I've written it? Show me the incriminating evidence so I can defend myself, as is my human right. But no, they wouldn't show me any evidence. The sort of reading between the lines, the unwritten communication was, we'll throw you in prison for whatever we like. Balls to the procedure. So just wind your neck in, shut your mouth, be silent, and you'll avoid going to prison again. None of my charges. I've been incriminated since 2016. The first time I got a criminal record was for politely and formally communicating to the mother of my children, asking if I could be in contact with them, and the policeman at the time said, forget about them. That was his quote. Forget about your children. You won't be able to be in contact with them again. And if I don't stop communicating, if I don't stop requesting to see my boys, then I would get a custodial sentence. Anyway, so where are we? Okay, so I've been living in the attic of my elderly parents' house, which is working pretty well. I do the washing up and make the dinner and help in the garden and do bits and bobs around the place and sort out their computers, which is a big one. So it's all working fairly well on that front. I am keen to get somewhere of my own, shall we say, but it's good. And 6 months into 2024, we're now July, beginning of July, and I've found online this fabulous woman, I think she's a mother of two, called Madison McGeehan, good Irish surname, but she lives in the States, I think, and she does what's called the Alienation Project. I'm looking after two dogs here, so I've got to keep an eye. There's Talisker, named after an Irish whiskey, no, Scottish whiskey, and this one's named after a South African beer. He's called Tusker. Where's he gone? Can you see him over there, under the tree somewhere? Yeah, so Madison McGeehan, she started the Alienation Project, and she's a brilliant woman. She's so powerful because she's come out of a parental alienation situation and sees it very, very clearly for everything it is. And so I'm binge watching her YouTube channel at the moment, which is fantastic. Interviews and exposés and this kind of stuff, and she's got it absolutely just right. And she did an interesting how these TikTok and YouTube videos, they chop them up with another interview. She's done this really good one with Teal Swan, who a couple of months ago did a 2-part series on her YouTube channel of parental alienation, and wow, talk about getting it nail on the head, spot on.
One of the most traumatizing experiences that a parent can go through is parental alienation.
So insightful. so clear in the labyrinth of lies that it consists of. You know, the falsities and the manipulation of it all.
I still retained my own values and beliefs. I fought hard, and I was definitely demonized for that.
Yeah, Madison McGeehan, she's getting a lot of stick online, and I think you got to appreciate it, as I certainly do. You know, one of the things I thought about was that when I was getting all this unwanted police attention in 2022, it was just after I'd rekindled, rebooted, restarted my online presence, Erased Parents YouTube channel, and I hadn't really made the connection until recently that perhaps it's that you know gets you in trouble, because Madison McGeehan and the Alienation Project, she's getting a lot of pressure, hassle, abuse, smearing because of the brilliant work she's doing.
They truly believe their lies. It's pathological level lying. They're living in a world of delusions.
Parental alienation is a highly sophisticated abuse process. Remember that the intention, and believe me, it will be a carefully disguised one, is to turn the child against the other parent so that the child picks their side and then rejects a relationship with the other parent. Here is a list of things that all people need to know about parental alienation. 1. Parental alienation is a form of abuse. It is nothing less than this. Parental alienation is essentially the Stockholm Syndrome of the family systems world, and the level of damage that it will do to all the people involved, most especially any children involved, is acute, let me assure you.
Thank you, Teal Swan. She's absolutely right. It's severe child psychological abuse, not to mention abuse of the other parent as well.
Essentially, the alienating parent is a parent who is playing a zero-sum game. They are going for their own best interests to the exclusion of everyone and anyone else's best interests, including their child's. And they are not connected enough to anyone else in the situation so as to perceive the negative impact of what they are doing. They lack empathy. This is true even with regards to their own children. Do not be fooled by them.
And I actually suggested to Samantha Baldwin that she get in touch with Madison McGeehan, because I think that Samantha Baldwin's books would be very relevant, especially with the court aspect, to what Madison is looking at with the Alienation Project.
Who are you? Which version of you is real? Which version of my mom is real? Kids in this situation more often than not, do not stand a chance. It becomes a survival mechanism to lose hope and to side with the alienator.
And due to their own projected traumas, may in fact actually believe this. They will make their self-gratifying aims seem self-sacrificing, but the reality underneath that carefully crafted veneer is that they are perfectly willing to destroy their own child's well-being for their own vendetta. The child has become, in essence, a pawn in a game that is scary, dangerous, and damaging for the child. Because the alienating parent has no real sense of other, being that they exhibit a narcissistic relational style, the child will be in an extreme form of enmeshment with the alienating parent, and that child's feelings and desires and needs and perspectives and thoughts and boundaries and truths, they're going to be invalidated to the point that they will simply become a reflection of the alienating parents.
Oh boy, I should probably do a whole video on that right there. Okay, yes. She's spot on so far. Everything she said is spot on. But I want to add that not all alienated kids will fall in line with this enmeshment. I've spoken to plenty of former alienated kids now, some of whom did become completely enmeshed with that parent and thought that parent was their best friend, for example. But then others of us really that enmeshment process. It was something, that enmeshment, that wanting me to be the same person as her, and any value, thought, belief, idea, any originality I had that went against her belief system and her thoughts and her ideas was seen by her as a threat, instead of me having my own sets of values and beliefs because I'm Madison and you're my mom. And this is generational because my grandma wanted the same thing for my mom and my mom submitted. They're the same person, essentially. So they have that extreme enmeshment. You can't tell them apart. But some kids do fight. I was one of these kids. I fought every day of my life.
It's a huge multi-billion dollar, pound, euro industry across the world to dissect these families as what happens. You know, their careers, whether that's through legal firms or through the courts or through the social services or through, in Britain they're called the CAFCAS, but they're these sort of family agencies that are very rarely what they say on the tin. They're just kind of extensions of the courts to get justification of the abuse that's going on. The child trafficking through multi-agency systemic assault of families.
4. Parental alienation is a game of deception. And this game is a process, and unfortunately, almost everyone involved in a parental alienation dynamic, this means relatives, kids, friends, coworkers, and yes, even professionals like lawyers, mediators, judges, therapists, counselors, social workers, and the like, will be fooled by that deception. This is the main reason why, if you are a parent that is being alienated, it will feel like either you or everyone else has lost their minds. It's a particular breed of hell, one of the most gaslighting situations that a person can ever find themselves in. The parent that is doing the alienating has a primary goal. This goal is to be seen by everyone around them as the good guy. This means they must get everyone around them to see the other parent as the bad guy, so as to manipulate them into participating in their aim. To alienate that parent from the child, and even potentially from everyone else in their life. This means that every strategy they come up with to achieve this negative aim must not look like it. Everything they do must be disguised, hidden, explained away, and smoke-screened, even from the other parent who they are in the process of alienating. And they take great care to make sure that all this will happen, to make it look like they are the good person and the good parent, and make sure the other one looks like the bad person and the bad parent. The alienating parent will convince themselves and everyone else that the parent being alienated is truly the one that is horrible, inadequate, and abusive, and that they need to protect this child from that parent. They will then enroll everyone in the game of doing so. And as a society, we play right into this game of deception with our own ignorance to this particular dynamic, as well as our reluctance to accept that parents can do things like this in the first place, or that it's even possible for a parent to set up a hostage situation regarding their own child.
You know, she hasn't been doing it long, Madison McGeehan. She's been on it for a year and a half or so, and she's waking up to the fact that you're upsetting some big corporate interests up top. There was a guy she interviewed, a dad who hadn't seen his kids for 21 years, ex-copper, interestingly, from Oregon, who does the Fathers of Oregon Facebook page. Something like this. I couldn't find it. I had a look, but Facebook once showed me that one. And he was saying that the incentives for the authorities in the USA to divide up families is astonishing.
We need a societal view change about what dads are, and then we need law changes that really equal this whole process out. And we finally have a 50-50 parenting time law in Oregon, but it's not being enforced, and there's too many loopholes to break it. Through that little loophole, they widen it, and all of a sudden it applies to any kind of false allegation.
That's a really good point. I wonder what can be done to change that societal view of dads. Because I agree that needs to change. Just because the woman carries the child in her body and gives birth to that child and nourishes that child doesn't mean that the father's role is any less important.
It starts with just awareness, and it's just the more people talk about it as individuals, people like you, having your channel, you've been a victim of this, and you're from the child's perspective. They may listen to someone like you or Ryan Thomas more than they would ever listen to a targeted parent. And that we need to really do something about having fathers in the family. And it's like, I feel like reaching through the TV and grabbing this congressman by the neck and strangling him. It's like, there's a whole bunch of us out here that want to be fathers. We're not being allowed to. And a lot of it is the own laws that they've developed, Title 42. which basically rewards the states for child support collection and all the things that go with that. The states are actually awarded millions and millions of dollars on the amount of child support they collect. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I was not aware of that.
Oh my God, yes.
How is that allowed?
It's written in federal law. It's all those federal incentives for them to collect child support, have child support programs. It all came out of the Social Security Act. The states are actually rewarded billions of dollars for child support collection. So there's no reason why a state wants to do away with the industry of divorce.
Profit. Because if you don't have custody battles, if you have an amicable divorce, not a high conflict divorce, and there's not one parent trying to keep the kids from the other, well, there goes a lot of lawyer fees, there goes a lot of court cases, there goes a lot of litigation. So do you think that profit has something to do with it?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
There's too much profit to be made. All the social workers, psychologists, lawyers, all of it.
I've even seen like online coaches trying to make tons of money off of like traumatized people who are just trying to get help. Yeah. It's kind of sickening.
Yeah, when she was withholding them from me, then she goes and files for a child support review, and they come in, they check out your income and her income, and they, well, how many times, it goes by overnights, how many nights do you have them, how many nights does she have them, goes into a calculator, a process, and it spits out the value at the end. And they don't care why you don't have your kids. And this isn't really, you could say it's an off-topic discussion, but it affects parent alienation because there are rewards for alienating your children. The child support is all designed on how much time you have the kids. It's based on salary and how much time you have the kids. Like in my case, and it's in many cases I know, if mom can withhold the kids, alienate the kids and completely withhold them, your time, your percent time is now 0 and hers is 100. Or maybe yours is 15 and hers is 85. That calculation goes into child support. And your child support, yes. That is almost standard statewide. I don't think that was the reason the law was written that way, but that's how the calculators work. So once either party figures that out, there's an incentive to withhold the kids. Because if you're the custodial parent, they can increase their child support by hundreds and hundreds of dollars just by withholding the kids. And the child support enforcement, they don't care why you don't have the kids. They're just pencil pushers.
So your kids can be effectively taken from you, and you have to pay more child support.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How do we affect change in that area?
I think it's grassroots. And just a few weeks ago, I've got a small group of people in my group that say, what are we going to do to change this? And I said, well, we've talked about this before. I did polling on it, and it's going to take us, and there's people out there that will write the laws for us. It won't cost a thing. But we need to go down, we need to talk to our legislators, we have to have meetings with them, then you have to go and testify in hearings. I guess the end result is there's a process to do it, and it can be done. But for me to try and get dads together or their support groups together to actually do the hard work, it's almost impossible. Everybody needs to win. And I'm not talking just the child either. It's the child and both parents. They all have to win. If any of them lose, we're hurting somebody.
I hope that we can see some reform soon.
Anyone unscrupulous with zero morals, ethics in the gutter, apathetic to families and children's rights, etc., can make a hell of a lot of money in these jobs by alienating kids. Child abuse is just simply child abuse. It's a hostage situation. Teal Swan calls it a hostage situation. She's absolutely right. And so when you're in business, you do what's called a SWOT analysis, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. And people like me, Samantha Baldwin, Kevin Annett, Madison McGeehan, there's Dad from Oregon, loads of us, lots and lots and lots of us, because the awareness is increasing. We are the T, we are the threat to their profits. And so because they're very powerful and they've got, they can pull strings, to say the very least. They can shut down in lots of different ways and forms dissent against their money-making operations. This is what's going on. Okay, 50 minutes, that's probably enough. Lovely to catch up. See you soon.